everybody, and welcome to the post-race show for the Fix Auto Charlottetown 100 from the virtual Iowa Speedway, round 4 of season 3 of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. Geordie Carraher alongside Regan McCauley, and again, it's the opening Fix Auto Cup race, and it was last year's Fix Auto Cup champion, Ty Higginbotham, who wound up blowing away the field in his Tornado Alley E-Racing Chevy there in that third and final stage. And we've got Mr. Higginbotham here on the line. I should probably make sure we don't have the background music. That way we can hear our dear friend on the other side, joining us from Kansas City, Missouri. Higgy, how are you?
Doing good, guys. Good to be back. It was kind of a long stint there, and it's good to hear y'all's voices again.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a really great run there, really from start to finish, and we'll let Regan kind of jump right into things here.
Yeah, so just starting off with a very simple question for you, Ty. Just overall, take us through what that race was like for you, what you experienced from your perspective, the close competition that you had to face yourself through for the first two couple of stages, early in the third stage as well, when that pit window opened up and you were able to capitalize as the number one guy off of those green flag pit stops, and you were able to blow away from the field at the very end there. So just take us through everything that you experienced.
Yeah, so I going from the last race last year, I think I finished like 19th or 20th, and I kind of wanted some revenge because I felt like I had a fast car last year, and I knew I had a good car tonight, and let me tell you, that was some of the closest, most fun racing I've had up front in a while. And I mean, that's what I love about Iowa. You know, you have multiple lanes that you can run. You got that inside line, you got that middle groove, and you have the outside line. I mean, it was side-by-side racing for the top 3 or 4 pretty much every single stage for a good bit. And, me and Corbin were going at it, AJ, Darcy, Jose, all those guys were up there. And for a good bit of stage 2, I think it was, I was battling with Corbin basically side by side the whole time, where AJ won the 2. I think it was AJ actually. And I wanted to conserve my tires a bit and, just save on those because towards the end of the run, the car does still tend to get a bit loose on the exits and you lose all of that exit speed. So that's kind of was my main goal, was to just make sure I take care of those tires and make sure I had that long run speed, because eventually that's what, distances yourself from the rest of the group.
All right, yes, good stuff to hear, and obviously I'll add this in with the potential sibling rivalry that there might be there with P2. Thank you. No, just kidding. Yeah, I'll take it back to you, Geordie.
All right, so yeah, you kind of alluded to how the progression of the race went there just a few moments ago, but obviously you talked about sort of the different options on track, but in particular that one green flag pit stop was always going to be of interest given how close everybody was running right up to that point. So if we can get specific for a moment from your side, what do you think was kind of the difference in the adjustments that you made that ultimately was able to help you separate yourself from the rest of the pack?
I think it was towards, the end of the beginning of the first run there in stage 3. I kind of backed off and just kind of rode behind Corbin and AJ there. And you can actually save a little bit of fuel if you just coast behind people and just use the draft. And there was people that were pitting 3 or 4 laps before I was, and I knew tires were so big at Iowa that even if you did pit later, 4 or 5 laps, some tracks, if you pit later, you lose, you get that undercut, someone undercuts you, and then they just go on with that fresh air. But Iowa, it's different. So I actually didn't make any adjustments to my car from when I started. I liked the way it felt, and I was going to, bump with wedge and stuff like that. But I was like, well, I'm running, in the top 3 most of the race. I ain't going to touch this car. And I feel like I had a chance with winning it. So, I also wanted to go, I wanted to pit by myself. I didn't want to pit with, anybody else and cause an accident and ruin, not only my race, but someone else's too. So pitting myself, I was able to get a good pit entry and get in and out of there pretty quickly.
Yeah, and obviously it goes without saying that it definitely worked out for you here tonight, and it's not the first time that it's worked out for you on the short tracks in particular. I recalled a couple of times throughout the broadcast your win at Martinsville there toward the end of last season where you practically lapped the entire field. So that leads me to ask, like, obviously short tracks, they're not the most comfortable environment, especially when you're around 25 to 30 other racers, but what is it about them that just seems to kind of work for you?
I honestly, I thrive for the close, contact action, with the other drivers. And I honestly couldn't tell you what it is either, Geordie, to be honest. I just, I really enjoy the short tracks, and, it's a lot of brake and gas, knowing when to get onto the gas out of the exits and knowing when to hit that brake going into the turns. And every short track's different. Bristol, Martinsville, Iowa, they all have, their different entry points and exits. But I don't know. I think it's just I tend to like to just kind of coast around and take care of my car and, just let the car roll through the middle. So, just taking it easy into the turns and then just letting the car exit and get that good exit speed. And I guess that's just what, is able to get me these good runs, is just having that exit speed at these short tracks.
And again, we saw it really kind of work out for you here tonight, just as it has within really the entire Tornado Alley outfit there. All 3 of you guys have won in the last 3 weeks, yourself, and Sauce, and Gator. So, and it's been on 3 different types of tracks as well. And I know I asked Leo and John just kind of what they thought was sort of the thing that really worked from the kind of overall standpoint of the team. But for you, again, you see the 3 guys finish in the top 7. It's just another run of consistent form for Tornado Alley. So really, what do you think you can attribute that to?
I got to attribute it to them guys. I mean, that's it. We were joking around and talking about this race, and they were like, what if we got 3 in a row? What if that happened? And I was like, there's so many good racers here, and Darcy winning it last year. And I was just like, I feel like I had a good car, but I was like, that rarely happens. You get one after the other, just all 3 guys get 3 in a row. But I mean, I could ask, for better drivers. Those 2 guys are awesome. And, I mean, I just can't say like how excited and like proud I am of the, I got the win, but it's, them guys are really putting on a show so far at the beginning of the season, and, taking this team to a whole new level. And, so far pretty happy with what I was able to do there.
Yeah, and again, as we've talked about before, the results kind of speak for themselves, but the one thing that we kind of haven't really touched on, I guess, and it ultimately wasn't a huge concern there at the very end, like, you did have to work your way through the field there a little bit, having started in 8th for tonight, I do believe. So again, just it didn't take you long, certainly, to get up to the head of the field. So again, we'll just kind of go back to, how this all started, I guess. So, just kind of figuring out like where you kind of got that jump, what you felt you needed to do, and yeah, how you ultimately felt you executed in order to get yourself into contention early on.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what I totally disregarded, didn't mean to, but the different tracks that the whole team's won at. We got the short track Iowa, the road course with Gator, and then Sauce winning at Auto Club. That just shows we have the potential to win at any track each week. So yeah, I just want to say that, but. Going the beginning of the race, that outside line was just going. I mean, I think it was Chase who was in front of me, and I think I forgot who was fourth, but the inside line, it gets pretty jumbled down there on restarts, and a lot of guys have to check up, and that causes guys to either go high or hit the apron, and it just slows the whole inside line down. But the outside line, we kind of get spread apart. We get that run, we get the draft, we get that exit speed. And that's what basically pulled me forward. I was able to, go from 8th to, I think it was 5th or 4th in the first 2 or 3 laps. And once you get that run and you get up there, you can kind of, it feels a lot better being in the top 5, top 6, top 7 at a racetrack like Iowa than it does being 10th or on back, because you wear your tires out battling people, and when you're up front, you can kind of just race. You'll be racing with them, but at the same time, you're not pushing your car to the brink of either spinning out or using your tires so much. So yeah, I couldn't ask for a better start to the race than I did tonight.
And you talked a little bit there about, I'm just going to go back to the previous point that you made regarding the team being able to win on any track. If I recall correctly, your first win in this series was at the very track we're going to be at next week, that being Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we set things up for the Racing Carolina 300. Obviously a little bit of a kind of different feel in terms of the overall depth of field at this point. But from your perspective, what do you think is going to be the biggest key as you pursue back-to-back wins at what I believe you called one of your favorite tracks?
Yeah, Charlotte is right up there with Martinsville as one of my favorite tracks. I love it. It just kind of suits how I said I drive. You can coast it, and just it's a great track, and it's fast, but turn 1 and turn 2 is way different than turn 3 and turn 4, and that's what I like about the track. But I mean, gosh, last year the racing was, it felt like we were racing at Daytona for majority of it, and in a single file line, top 8 guys. And I was just the lucky one that came out of that wreck there at the end of stage 3. I think it was like 20 laps to go. I was just somehow managed to avoid it. And then it was just me and Jacob. And then I think Jacob had damage, which caused his car to, not be able to turn as well. But I mean, that's kind of the thing with those single file line, fast paced tracks. You can have a great car, but with that type of racing, you can get to first, and then the next lap, the whole line goes past you. So I think the key is just trying to stay clean as possible. Make sure you're there at the end of stage 3. You want to get to that. You want to get to lap 199 out of 200 and have a chance to win. So I think it's just staying clean, keeping your nose clean, and I think it's going to be a pretty great race for the viewers and you guys broadcasting.
And again, it was your first win there last season. Here we are 4 wins later, chatting again. Reegan, do you have anything that you wanted to kind of chime in on before we put a bow on this?
Did you ask a question at all about what's he looking forward to, like how he's going to take the next couple of races?
I did not,
no.
so
okay,
you can handle that.
You know what? Yeah, sure, Ty. I'll add this question in if that's all right with you.
Go for it.
All right. Considering now you have a win, you now have a secure playoff spot, you've got your playoff points, all that and stuff, but I'm going to ask you this. I remember asking this also to Jonathan Peden after his dominant performance and victory at Most Sport. Are you gonna start to take it maybe a little bit more easy as the regular season goes on, and maybe wait until the playoffs come around to start kicking back and actually competing? Because you already have that win, you already have those points, you already have that playoff spot. Or are you going to keep going for it whenever you possibly can if you have speed within the next couple of weeks? Like, what's going to be your strategy as the regular season eventually comes to a conclusion within the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I watched Gators interview last week, and I kind of have the same perspective, but at the same time, those playoff points are valuable. Each point, it counts. Like, I mean, you saw last year the playoffs were extremely close. I mean, the races came down to the last race, the last stage, the last result. I mean, last year I think Scott Bailey had all those playoff points, and he didn't have that great of a playoff run, but because of those playoff points in the regular season that he was able to accrue, he was able to get to that Final Four spot. And that it just happens like in real life, going to Kevin Harvick when he had 9 wins, he got put out in the round of 8. So it's just, I think I'm going to go in there with, the same respect I have to all the drivers. If they're faster than me, obviously we'll battle, but ultimately I'll let them go. But I'm not going to force something that's not going to be there. So I'll probably just go the same way I've been going, and it's good to get that first win. You kind of get that relief, and you kind of know, like, hey, I'm secure for the playoffs. But at the same time, like I said, those playoff points, they can be valuable when it comes to playoff time.
Well, yeah, those are the words I am very glad to hear from you. You even gave us some examples as well there that every race counts, every points matter. So it's awesome to hear that from you. What do you think about that, Geordie?
I mean, I think they've probably all nailed it on the head here. Like, there's an inherent competitive nature there. And Ty, I'm sure you've seen this over the last season plus as the field's gotten deeper and deeper as well. So really, as much as you'd want to, as you say, kind of potentially coast in at some points, like, you almost have to keep sharp in order to, be kind of at that level come playoff time, even though you've got that spot. Would that be kind of a fair assessment from your perspective?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like if you kind of lay back and you just kind of coast these next races, once it comes to playoff time, the people who have been, pushing for every playoff point, I mean, you're talking about people like, Gator, Darcy, Corbin, AJ, Jose. I mean, even some of the rookies are, they're trying to make a name of themselves. You got all these guys who are going to be trying to win a race, get a stage win, and they don't care if you're a returning member of the league, or they don't care if you're, a rookie. I mean, everybody's going to have the same respect for each other, but ultimately it comes down who can get that Earl Ross trophy. I mean, that's what it ultimately comes down to. And if it comes down, between your teammate, it's all about racing. It's all about competitiveness. You hear it all the time in, real life NASCAR, Formula One. Once it comes down to it, it's all for, that big trophy at the end.
And we certainly saw you roll out that kind of effort that we've come to expect from you over the course of the last year plus here tonight. And ultimately, it was a well-earned victory from your side of things. As mentioned, the 4th of your NASCAR Series career over the last year plus. So again, we'll offer one final congratulations here to you, Ty, and again, we'll see what you've got next week at Charlotte as you try to go back-to-back in multiple ways.
Yeah, thank you, guys, and thank you, Geordie and Reegs, for all you do. I mean, it's definitely not an easy task with the limited, headings and stuff like that you have with the game. So I really do appreciate, and I'm sure everybody else does, that all you guys do. And thank you.
And we certainly appreciate that here. Again, you have a Good night there, and we'll see you again next Tuesday night as we do battle one more time at Charlotte.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Woo!
Three wide coming through the turn here. They're coming up to the line here now. Darcy Ford still got a Ward trying to get inside though. Where's Ward going to cut in? Darcy Ford. And there's the checkered flag. Darcy Ford. And indeed, as he comes through turn 4, he's going to see the checkered flag. And there it is. Scott Bailey is your winner of tonight's Fix Auto 250. They're going to get the white flag this time around. Final lap of tonight's track device number 125. And coming through. Oh, Marini went through. They're right on the back of each other. Paytack's going to get in on the inside. They're door to door. Paytack into the wall. Mike Marini, he's going to win. Got about 3 or 4 wide behind him on that back
There's
straight.
a lot of carnage right there.
Oh, dear.
A lot